Imagine, if you will, sitting down to your morning coffee, turning on your home computer to read the day's newspaper.
Yo, it's your boy Zeta Don, and we back at it again with another episode of Inspired Empire Podcast. Today we have Jordan Tanner. He wants to talk about mental health and his side of his story.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and introduce yourself just a little bit.
Like you said, I'm Jordan. I just want to tell my story of how I went from anxiety, depression, and ended up on Dateline. I figured I'd hit up my man. We have mutual friends, so yeah.
Okay. So let's just jump into it, man. So you've been struggling with just mental health. Is that right? Or
I think everyone to a certain extent does. My thing was that I really wanted to talk about was just I was numbing it for years, right? Like not just ignoring it, wouldn't acknowledge I had it. So I think as a kid, right, I remember my heart just like racing all the time, like, but not knowing what it was, just thought it was kind of normal. And I'm talking like elementary. And then when you look to see like where all this shit stemmed from, I think it definitely stemmed from shit like for childhood trauma, whether it was stuff with my dad, stuff with having to grow up too quick, and because it puts you in that fight or flight mode, right? So I think that was the main thing that happened as a kid. It just once you're in that fight or flight mode, that's what gets your anxiety going.
right?
And so as a kid, I just remember my heart racing all the time in elementary, and then just going back, the reason that happened, I think just I would have like fist fights and things like that with my dad, right? And just seeing my mom's pain and having to be that man of the house just kind of, I never acknowledged any of that, right? Like I knew it was there, but I didn't think the anxiety. I knew a little bit of the depression side, but the anxiety was the thing that my heart always racing, and I just didn't know why. I couldn't calm down, and just a lot of like anger and not knowing why, you know. So that was, and it led to me just not taking care of myself mentally for 15 plus years, you know.
Right.
So that's, yeah, just as a kid, I know that's where it stemmed from.
Okay. So I mean, were you able to express yourself as a kid at all, or?
Yeah. So I think I had a couple outlets. I played basketball growing up, and I think if I didn't have that, I definitely would have probably been a college or high school dropout. Been on drugs, done all these things, but I had some form of father figures, like the coaches. They kind of were that. They filled that void, you know. And so once I got out of high school, I felt kind of lost, you know. Not lost with what I wanted to do, because I think that's how all of us were when we graduated high school, especially playing sports.
Right.
But just not having an outlet anymore, not having something to express myself, not having a reason to go work out, not having all these things that contribute to your mental health. And so after high school, I was partying a lot, messing with women, doing all these different things that every time I would have those feelings of my heart racing, I was like, all right. And this is where I think it sort of started. It's like, all right, I'm feeling anxious on a weekend, so let's go get drunk. Let's go do this. Let's do that, you know. And so years of doing that just on the weekends at that time, really just kind of get your body used to, or your heart's racing. So let's go drink. Let's go find a distraction.
Right.
And so for years of doing that and not like being, because I did therapy when I was a teenager, and I loved it. I've always been an advocate for therapy, but it was something I was like, I went once, I was like, all right, I'm cured, I'm good to go, you know.
Right.
But it's a continuous thing. So yeah, just right as I graduated high school, not having an outlet, that was like, that was my outlet, was all right, let's get with the friends this weekend, let's watch a game, but really subconsciously, it was like, all right, let's drink so this anxiety can go away, this feeling of fucking not being good enough or always like on edge can finally subside, you know.
So so you just weren't able to express yourself because you were finding outlets, but you wasn't able like to talk about it at home, right?
Exactly, because I have my mom. My mom's the best mom in the world. It's just because you're the man of the house, you're not gonna go to your mom and be like, Mom, I'm not feeling, or this is what's going on. My brain feels fucked up, like because of this anxiety or because of these depressed thoughts and things like that. You're not gonna tell your mom that, because you want her to think everything's straight, because you're trying to take care of the family too. you're trying to be that man of that. You're trying to be the person your little sisters look up to. So me going, and I looked at it as a weakness. Like, no, I can't show any type of sign of weakness. What does that do for the head of the house? I feel like it would trickle down to my little sisters, So that's another thing. The person closest to me, I could never tell. Like, some of my close friends knew, but it was, that's when I feel like it started. Just like I said, subconsciously just drinking or finding that distraction to get away from what I was dealing with internally,
Okay. How long have you been drinking?
16, 17, but not to where I was like an alcoholic or nothing. It was just, I had to throw that out there. It was just a way to distract myself. It wasn't just drinking. It was, whether it was partying, whether it was talking to women, talking to whatever, just to get away from how I was feeling when I was by myself, having those thoughts,
Yeah, because I can relate with that because I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was depression or nothing like that or anxiety. I don't know what it was, to be honest, but like I always had to keep myself busy because like what you said, when you feel something by yourself, you just like, I got to do something. So I recently chose to stop drinking.
Me too.
So I'm like 2
Congrats
weeks
on
sober
that.
right now.
I'm a month sober, so.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm not gonna stop smoking. I'm not gonna do that. I'm an advocate for that. So
no, I'm an advocate too. It's not for me, but I'm a big advocate for marijuana.
I'm not gonna stop smoking. That helps me. But as far as drinking, I have made bad decisions, like what you said with the fighting and stuff like that. I can get real aggressive.
Yeah.
And I actually was just talking to my therapist about this like last week because I was like, I wasn't understanding when I drink why I get aggressive, or like I'm like, is that depression or like what is? And he really can't figure it out because like I don't have any signs that you had depression. I can't really address that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still trying to figure that out. But you've been a month sober.
Month sober since the incident. Yeah.
Okay. So what has that done for you so far?
I have so much more clarity. I always tell my girl too, just like I've been telling her nonstop, because it's this. The reason I stopped drinking too, but I'll get to that. But for me, it just blocked a lot of things. I'd get in this mode, whether I was fighting with family, whether I was fighting with friends, whether I was fighting with my girl. It was just this, you get in this fuck it mode, like you don't give a fuck about nothing. But then you realize 2-3 days later, like, all right, that wasn't what I was thinking. The clarity's not there. But yeah, I feel mentally just a lot better. And plus, on top of working out and just eating better this whole month, you can feel it like with everything. But the drinking itself I have so much clarity. I tell every other day, I'm like, this is how I feel. She's probably like, shut the fuck up. But yeah.
I feel because that's how I get too. As far as drinking, it's just one of those things like you kind of just, when that weekend hit, you're going to drink, you're going to forget about everything. But then that Monday comes, it all starts back over.
Exactly.
So you're not acknowledging what's going on,
100%, yeah.
And that's a problem. That's not just men, that's women, that's everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't acknowledge. Like they're like, oh, like you don't want to drink, you're just trying to flex for, like, you're just trying to do it for Instagram or whatever. I don't feel like, I feel like that's a good thing to not drink, because now I avoid clubs. I won't go nowhere where there's alcohol. Like I won't do it.
See, I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to, well, right now, I just don't want to be like in big crowds or anything like that. I'm just kind of staying low key from anything.
That's where I'm at too.
But I just, I'm avoiding any place where I feel like I don't think I'm going to go and drink again, but I just don't want to even put myself in that situation to have to make the decision of, oh yeah, I'm going to drink and I'm going to do this. It's just right now, I want to be like, all right, I'm 6 months sober. And it's like I said, it's not the alcohol that was the issue. Was just that was what I was using to numb all the feelings I was feeling,
I feel you. So, I mean, with this situation that you had, like, what exactly was the situation that you had?
Well, that's just one other thing I want to bring up before I talk about that. It's just, and then when our 20s hit, me and my friend group, we had a couple people. One of my best friends in the world, he committed suicide, right? And the reason I bring that up is obviously that destroys you mentally,
right?
Someone that close to you. But what happened after that was that's when the anxiety, depression, everything got worse, because you look at just things you didn't really think about just how, as corny as it is, how life is short, how all these things you can be taken like that, and you just realize that you only have so much time here, and that's just adding on to all the bullshit from your childhood, but yeah, when that happened, that's when the drinking on the weekend turned to, all right, we can do it random Tuesday, we can do this, and we can just looking for something to do all the time to take away that feeling of just being anxious every single day. And that's when, yeah, so yeah, just that really fucked with me.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really notice until that shit hits home.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just how it gets.
Yeah.
So I can relate with that because I think this year I've had, in the beginning of the year, by February, I had 8 people close to me that passed away.
Holy
4 of
shit.
them was suicides.
God damn.
Yeah, so, I mean, I relate with that. That's crazy because my mom
You
was
said since when?
Like, so in the beginning of the year, from January to February,
Oh my
I had
God,
8
man.
people that I knew personally. That I mean,
That's
like I've
fucking
literally
crazy.
had conversations with. I was at the club every weekend chopping
Yeah.
up with these people, or I'd
Yeah.
be at their house. 4
That's
of them passed
crazy.
away from like shootings or car wrecks,
Yeah.
and 4 passed away to suicides.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it's rough, bro. Like you never know what people going through.
Yeah.
because you
exactly.
for me, I would be like, damn, they was just last week. They was just cool. Like we was just chopping it up,
Mhm.
and now they all of a sudden have this problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
One of them, we had a group discussion about a person. I made a comment like, "Hey, we need to watch this person, so
Yep.
they don't do something."
Same
And
thing,
like
yeah.
2 days later, they ended up doing something because nobody wanted to step up.
Yeah.
I had a kid, I couldn't do it, so
Yeah.
it's rough, bro. So I can relate with that a lot.
That's fucking crazy.
So with your situation, is that basically what led up to it, or
No.
'cause that was
so
just recent, right?
This happened like 6-7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But since that time, it was just more anything to distract my mind from already the childhood shit, already not chemically feeling off, like just to add that on top of it. And then one of my best friends gets in a car accident, and one of my brothers, his little brother, passes away. Like just all these things on top of how you're already feeling. It's almost, you add drinking and partying to depression, anxiety, and then people close to you passing away. That's a death sentence almost for yourself. For anyone who feels, I feel like I'm super sensitive, for better or worse, you know? And so when those type of things happen, they literally fuck with me. I'm not gonna say more than other people because I can't relate. I can only speak for myself. But it was for years that's what happened. So finally I meet my girl, right? And I'd been in this state where I was, like I said, 3-4 days a week, just going crazy. I meet her, she slows my life down. The first date we had, she was like, you're anxious right now, aren't you? And I'm like, what the fuck? How, no one's ever told me that. Like, I'm sure people know this, but no one's ever said it. And that was the first date. And then she just, over time, like, she would help me with my anxiety. Like, she would notice it before even some of the people closest to me, you know, at least call it out. I don't know. And then, so we've been together for a year, and then things were up and down. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, but we went through a tough year. And then I feel like I got back to my not giving a fuck attitude because of fights we were having, not because of that, but because I would go back to where I was before I met her. And so I started resorting back to doing what I was doing before, you know? And that's mentally, I was just on the verge of whatever. I've had those thoughts before, like, yeah, I'm done with life. I'm done with this, you know? And then I think she just she was the perfect thing to combat what was gonna happen, the inevitable, what was gonna happen regardless. And so because of the way I wasn't taking care of myself mentally. And so this leads me to August 15th. This is when I ended up on Dateline. Saturday, I planned out suicide. I wrote my suicide letter. Sunday morning, I go to Mario's grave. That's my friend that committed suicide. And I remember asking him, I was like, was it worth it? And usually you'll have like your conscience talking to you or whatever. Yeah, nothing. And so I was like, when you're in that state, I took that as, all right, maybe that's a sign or whatever. And so I go to the bar, I rent a hotel, and I just start drinking to kind of ease my way into it. And I remember I got a bunch of pills, got some NyQuil. I was like, all right, this is it. And I was with some friends, left them, go back to the hotel, and text my girl, sent her the note I wrote. So I'm about to get choked up. Anyways, so I sent her the note. And yeah, took the pills, took the NyQuil, drove up to Mario's once again at night. And this is Sunday. And that's the last thing I remember because I blacked out from the pills, NyQuils, alcohol, everything. I woke up the next day at my old elementary for some fucking reason. I don't know how, don't know why. Sleep on the grass. And just not knowing if I was alive or dead at this point. And looked for my car. It was perfectly parked somehow. And just started driving. Didn't have a plan, didn't have anything. I remember my conscience just wasn't there. That was the weirdest thing to me because usually you have like the devil angel on your shoulder telling you do this or don't do this. I didn't hear not shit. It was just driving straight, looking for a cliff to drive off of. It took me like an hour to realize I was still alive. Driving, looking. Luckily, I couldn't find anything. I didn't have a destination. I was just driving.
Did you even know where you were?
No, I didn't. I remember it felt like 30 minutes. I look up and I see a Wyoming sign. Anyway, so I keep driving. I'm still like super delirious from the NyQuil I took the day before. So I kept sleeping at rest stops, but still determined, but I couldn't find the perfect spot. Wake up the next day. I'm still sort of motivated, but my conscience is coming back. Everything's starting to come back. And still driving till maybe 6, 7 at night. And then finally I get this, all right, you need to flip around. So I flip around, go back, and I get to my mom's house. And I see my cousin. I'm like, where's everyone at? She goes, looking for you. And I'm like, all right, tell my mom I'm here. I'm just going to shower. First person I see is my little sister. She comes up, we cry. We're like, let's go to the hospital, see if I need to get my stomach pumped. Go over there, damage my kidney forever. I was close to my kidney failure, but they got the levels back down. Lady comes in, social worker. She's like, all right, I think you should stay a few days. I'm like, all right, I kind of expected this. And but this is what I didn't expect, but it ended up being a blessing in disguise. She's told me that they were looking for a bed. They put me in some behavioral place. They put me in a detox center, not because of the alcohol or anything, just because they didn't have a bed. And luckily, they didn't put me in like a psych ward or whatever. But they put me in a detox, and I'm sitting there hanging out with people on meth, people on crack, these people that keep coming up to me saying, what are you detoxing from? I'm like, nothing, man, nothing at all. But just seeing, I'm sure these people at one point they were me, or like I said, I don't have an addiction problem. I had a mental health thing that I just wasn't taking care of for years and years. And just seeing that and was like, all right, I get a second chance. I get a second chance to, as cliche as that sounds, just a second chance to live, a second chance to do everything that I was doing before over again, actually address my mental health. So now I'm going to therapy. I'm taking anxiety meds. I'm eating, working out, eating healthier. Just trying to take care of myself the best way I can and not let my family down, not let my girl down, not let anybody close to me down. And that's kind of in the back of my head. And not let myself down too, because you have to be selfish to be unselfish.
Right.
So yeah, that's
because I was gonna ask you, because not gonna lie, I know people have their mental health issues. I also have my own beliefs. I've always thought of people that do that as selfish.
Yeah.
In a way, because like there's something, as you said, you didn't feel your conscience. Did you feel your conscience before you did it?
Yeah, I did for sure. I think
because the reason why I'm asking is because how were you able to get past that to be like, hey, maybe my girl or, you know what I'm saying, her kids or, you know what I'm saying, my mom or my sisters, they probably don't want me to do this.
No, that's a really good question, because people would ask me that too when people talking about my friend who did it, right? And I think once you get to that state, I think a lot of people mistake that, oh, because you're doing this, you're not thinking about other people, which you're not in that state, right?
Right.
But when you get to that point, you feel like you're more of a burden. The anxiety and the mental side of things will fuck with you. It'll have you
Right.
telling you things that just isn't true. And that's what I think a lot of my anxiety is too. Like I'll be at work or wherever, just think you're not good enough, you're not this. So I think the lies of the anxiety, just telling you these things, you get to a point where it's not that you don't love the people closest, not that you don't care, because that's the reason you hold back, I think, for years. If you do feel like that, you're holding back, but you get to a point where you're like,
You're tired.
you're done. And it is selfish. It sounds selfish, but mentally, your brain doesn't put the two together. You're just like, I'm done. It's not that you don't care. It's not that, because I see both sides of that. I think there is selfishness in it, but people can't say it's selfish until their brain's been to that point.
Right.
You know, but I think that's a good question, because I think every person's different. But for me, it wasn't I didn't care. I just got to the point I didn't give a fuck about myself. So I don't care what happens to me.
Right.
So that's what it was. Yeah.
I feel you, because I know a lot of people when they do have bad things happen to them, they can't get to that state.
Yeah.
So I've always just wondered, because I've never really, if I ever were to think about harming myself, it's like my first thing that would pop in my head is my son or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's just little stuff like that. When you were in this situation and you came home, I mean, what was the hardest thing to deal with?
Shit. It's embarrassing. It's you feel like, because that's when those thoughts that you just talking about come. You're like, fuck, I let my mom down, I let my friends down, let my girl down, let my family down, and like I said, you let yourself down because you're not. I should have been able to talk myself out of that. I shouldn't have been, but it got to a bad level. But now, the reason I wanted to come talk to you too is just to be an advocate for mental health, but also say the numbing thing. I think that's a big thing, because it's not like I was just depressed and I'm like, all right, I'm done. It's just years and years of not addressing it. So you said you go to therapy. I think that's the best thing for anyone, even as someone who doesn't have like mental health or anxiety, depression. I think it's good to get that third party ear and to give you something. Your family's not going to tell you the 100% the full truth because they love you, right? Not that they're not telling the truth, but they know who you are, right? Your friends are going to do the same thing. So you have someone on the outside looking in who's been to school for this, who can give you answers that your mom really can't, your girl can't, your family, whoever. That's what I think therapy is beneficial for everybody.
I mean, since this situation, have you went back?
I've been in therapy 3 times, twice. Yeah, but it's only been a month, but I'm going to try to go every other week, and continue going. It's just right now, it's if I fall off even a little bit, I know the consequences of what I can lose. And it's just, it's not lose. If I lose myself, I lose everything else. So I just got to put that in my head too.
I mean, as far as you coming back, what has therapy did for you exactly?
It's been good. The first lady I went to was kind of, I'm not gonna lie, wasn't that good, but I went to the second lady, and the first thing she tells me is like, when people are talking sometimes, I don't even realize it. Like I'm almost like holding my breath, and I don't know why. And she like caught it, and she was like, like that's what puts you in fight or flight mode, because your brain's not getting enough oxygen. So that's why I had to like sit there and like make sure I'm breathing, make sure, because I don't want to get, that's where all my anxiety, a lot of it comes from. It's just the lack of oxygen into my brain. Like certain little tips like that, it's been amazing. Like they tell you things in just a different way that your family really can't. Just giving you these little tips that really benefit and not go down the same path you went before.
I feel you. There's one question. This might be a little bit hard for you to talk about.
Ahead.
So, your suicide letter. What went through your mind when you wrote that?
A lot of things. I remember, I won't say what was in it, but or say what exactly I said, but I put everyone that I feel like was really close to me, family, friends, whoever, I wrote them a little message. Yeah, it's just little messages to the people closest to me, pretty much. Just telling them to take care of this person, or I hope they do this, or something I wish they would do, or just telling them I love them, and that's all it pretty much was. But yeah, that was.
I just asked because I mean I can't relate to it. When you were dating someone and you send them that letter, like that letter does, because how does that feel for you? Like, did it hurt or like?
Oh yeah, I cried the whole time I was writing it. It's embarrassing after the fact, but once again, I'm not looking at myself, because when I was in that state, it was just nothing no one could tell me. So I went back and read it like a week later, 2 weeks after, and I'm just like, oh my God. But I can see what was going through my head in that moment. But right now, it's just trying to not do the things that put me in that position in the first place, and now get away from numbing anything, just address any feeling I'm having, because that's another thing as men, like you said, we have to hold in a lot of things that I think society's slowly getting rid of that stigma. But I think that's you just be the tough guy, be this, be that. But that's going to end up fucking you. Like, can I cuss on you, by the way? I've been cursing like crazy.
Yeah, you can. My biggest thing is with therapy, because I know you're talking about numbing. Since I've been through therapy, I've never wanted to numb myself more than anything since I've been through therapy.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm starting to learn stuff about myself that I'm like, damn,
Exactly.
I really do that. Or, like, and it hurts my feelings that I do that, because I'm like, damn. So, like, it's like you're sitting in front of a mirror, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, I've never wanted to more than anything. That's why I chose to stop drinking, because I'm like, I need to stop drinking, because I'm pretty much drinking, or I don't get drunk, but it's like, it just feels good to get something in my system to just chill out.
Exactly, yep.
Instead of drinking, I try to just face it, but the more and more you face it, you're like, bruh, I just want to take a drink.
Yeah.
Because even I was just talking to my baby mama, like, even before this, I was like, man, I just feel like drinking.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But it's just like these emotions that you're feeling because you don't take care of them, that shit just builds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, exactly. And I think, like, mental health is this monster pretty much in your head, right? And I think when you do things like therapy, when you do things like medication, if you need it, like, I'm not an advocate for medication unless you really think you need it. The doctor, depending on the doctor's prescribes it, whatever. But I think eating healthy is a huge one. Working out. I think when you do those things, it's like you're arming yourself. That's your artillery against the mental health, like, monster, you know? As soon as you start doing things that take away from it or numb it, you're just taking away all the weapons you have. You're taking away, and slowly they have this big ass army, and you have you by yourself against this monster. And the inevitable thing is it will catch up to you. Even if it's something like your depression is small at one point, you don't take care of it, that's going to grow. Anxiety is just small at one point. You're just going to keep growing.
one thing I want to ask you is, how has this situation affected your relationship?
There's good and bad things. I think, for one, I put the embarrassment I felt, I kind of put that on her too, right? Because it makes people look at her crazy, like she might have been the reason for it, which was not the case at all. It was just my shit that I was going through. So I put that on her, so it looks like she was the one that caused all this, which wasn't the case at all. But for the good, it's, like I said, I get a second chance, right? And her being the most amazing woman I've ever met, she's given me this second chance as well. But she knows once if she sees any sign of me doing anything like before, then she's out. And I told her to too. So I think in that way, she's helped me be a more loving person in general, more loving, more family oriented. But I think this thing needed to happen, not for my relationship, for me, but in a way it's benefited my relationship. But there's also things like embarrassing her. She went through it too. This was traumatic, not just for me, it's for people closest to me. So putting everyone through this shit, my friends, family, her, everybody that was close to it, that's the hardest part, being back. And even though I feel like I'm doing better, it's still like, you still have that embarrassment. You still have that, damn, I let people down. Whether they think that or not, it's still, in a way, I let everybody down, and I put people through some shit after we've already been through so many situations similar to that, you know?
Right.
But it's good and bad. There's benefits that come from this. I look for the silver lining, but there's also things that I'm ashamed of. So
I feel you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm guessing we were just speaking about she's passionate, right?
Oh,
so,
she's
like,
passionate.
She holds you accountable. So, like,
For sure.
because I know I go through my situations, you going through your situation. In a way, it keeps you on your toes, right? Isn't that weird how, like, women, like a woman, can just make you want to be a better person, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because, like I said, I'm sure we both have our history of people in our past, but there was never someone that really I would really listen to. Like, And for her to make me kind of slow everything down, me to care, like I didn't want to be married. I don't want to have kids for the longest time. I didn't want any of these things. And then all it takes, everyone talks about that one person came and there's this wild person and they meet this girl that changes their life. She was that for me. She literally was. I've dated other people, I've talked to other people, but it was never, as soon as it went bad, I was like, all right, I'm done. I ran away. And I tried to from her a few times, but I couldn't stay away. I always tell her, as cheesy as this shit is, she calls me a cheesehead because I always say little cheesy things to her, but she gave me, I was living like in a black and white world and she gave it color. That's how I compare it to, like, she's my everything. I love her.
That's dope. Now, between you two, so I mean, with this situation and you being with her, do you feel like marriage would be on the table?
I don't want to jinx anything. I mean, of course, we've talked about things like that, but we're enjoying being girlfriend, boyfriend right now. But that would be the end goal. But yeah, I don't want to jinx it.
I just had to make it spicy.
No,
because
for
she's
sure.
sitting right there. I just wanted to see what you would say.
I can see her side eye.
I know. That's why I looked
better
over,
not
I'm
mess
like,
this
yeah,
up. Yeah.
So man, I appreciate you coming on here and talking about this
thank you,
because that's what this platform is pretty much for.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I did have some people commit suicide.
Yeah.
Even before that, I've known people that have committed suicide. And, me personally, I've never was able to speak my mind and stuff like that. So this is kind of like therapy for me to hear other people speak, and I get to relate to you. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. What's something that you want to leave people with to remember this story by?
Just kind of the theme of the story. Don't numb your pain, you'll end up on Dateline. But no, just acknowledging that you have something like mental health. It doesn't have to be like, everyone's different. There's certain extremes, certain lows everyone has. But I think the first step is just acknowledging. You don't have to go to therapy. You don't have to do these things. But if it is something you see yourself like, damn, I'm sitting there and my heart's racing. I don't know why. It's probably anxiety. It's probably go talk to someone. Doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean anything like that. If you do need medication for anxiety, then do it. But like I said, there's good and bad things with that. But I think the biggest thing is have your artillery ready for the monster. Don't numb the pain. That just takes away the weapons. Just try to combat the mental health as much as you can. So like I said, eat healthy, work out, therapy, talk to people you love, do loving things. Don't do anything that just is going to mess with your brain more than it already is.
I feel you, man. There's one thing I did want to do real quick. If there is anybody that is having suicidal thoughts or even know somebody, just go ahead and give the National Suicide Hotline a call. It's 1-800-273-8255. That's all we got for today. Thank you for coming through, telling your story. Thank you for coming and letting him tell your story. I appreciate you guys, and that's all we got. Church.
All right, thanks, guys.